You don't know Kaya?
The only Kaya I know is Cooking with Kaya, and she's from Atlanta.
Oh my goodness, Stat. Shout out to Kaya. You gotta get your stuff together, Stat. Come on.
You also got to remember
Come
we
on,
have different
Stat.
memories of
Stat.
things.
No, Stat. No. Kaya, don't cook her up. Please, Kaya, don't cook her up. She don't know no better.
Let me say this. Stat,
Go ahead,
She
hold
Maurice.
had the record. She had the record, her neck and her
neck on
back.
back.
You know that song?
Oh, yeah.
It's the same one.
Yeah, that's a big dog. That's a big dog from Florida. Stat, you ain't really from Florida, Stat.
I am. I actually only claim Florida, so I've been very consistent.
Oh my goodness. Whoever put that video up of me, that was hilarious. I did not know that was my like eyes and nose on that video where it says, and this is May's favorite teams, and then it got me up this end. The Sacramento Kings.
Oh, yeah, I seen that.
The
I-
Boston Celtics. Whoever. People got too much time on their hands. Shout out to Bub, man. That was
It's just
great.
comedy, man.
Maurice, did you have a point before him?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So when you were talking,
Along with the schedule, Maurice, right? Teams took a very interesting approach. They got very creative. Like one team did like a Minecraft video, another did Mario Kart. So the Colts and the Chargers, they actually had the same Minecraft video type idea, but that wasn't even their biggest issue. So the Colts faced backlash because they inserted a clip of a boat pulling over a dolphin that mocked Tyreek Hill. And as we know, Tyreek Hill was detained, earlier in the season by police. So the Colts have since deleted the video. They actually apologized, saying we removed our schedule release video because it exceeded our rights with Microsoft and included an insensitive clip involving Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill. We sincerely apologize to Microsoft and Tyreek. So I'm going to ask you, Maurice, first. After having seen the clip, did you take a problem with it when you seen it?
nah, I mean, I'm a jokester though, so I joke. You know what I'm saying? I just always when I think of things, I think about intention and mentality, right?
Yeah.
And I just see somebody jokingly having fun with something that was so serious, right? And it just all comes from like, what generation are you from? Like sometimes like there's harsh comedy, there's dark comedy, there's things that I'm embarrassed about with my past that people joke with me about, and if I know that there's no real malice behind it, like you take it as such. And so I'm just picturing like, little young white dudes making this video, thinking something is funny. And this is just me. This is my opinion. These are my thoughts. And they just made a video just heckling and poking fun at somebody that they're about to go compete against. And so I don't take it that way. But sometimes when you live in the era of social media where everything is offensive and everything, like there used to be a time, and I'll say this before I finish my point. There used to be a time where just everybody didn't have an opinion about everything, where like people just like let things be what they were and moved on. But the fact that I'm pretty sure you had all the hecklers online, getting mad at the coach and talking about it was insensitive and so on and so forth. They probably caught like some PR pressure and decided to take it down.
Honestly, I just grew up on social media this week. I think I finally had my epiphany, Before this, Cam used to always be like, yo, man, you need to get on Instagram. You need to do this more. Pause. And I would be like, man, people be talking crazy. I don't come from that. And then somehow I just felt like, it's like you got to understand anything goes out here. And it just finally clicked for me. And I just want to acknowledge that. So when I hear this thing about Tyreek Hill, I'm kind of laughing about it because now I kind of get it, that it's just all fun. It's not somebody really trying to slander you or anything like that. Because, that's how my mind used to think. You say something crazy when I see you, we straight there. We going straight there. And I had to realize, no, these people don't mean it like that. You run up to them, they be like, it's content. And I'm thinking content. It
Yes.
can be content, you know. And not that anyone did this to me, but I it just clicked for me because I was of the old school mindset that no, you don't play like that. You don't do that. You don't say this. You don't, you know. And I had to realize it's just content. That's all it is. Nobody really hates anybody. People are just saying what they believe they need to say. I've never been that person, but that's how most people operate. They're just saying what they think they need to say. And sometimes we're overreacting to things that people are just saying for you to give them a third interview or for you to give them a fifth thing to say or a fourth thing to say. But when it comes to Tyreek Hill, I think they should have left it up. Actually, I think they should have left it up. I thought it was hilarious from the comedy state, and I think we got to decide: do we want to be people that are always serious, or are we people that can give a joke? Because if you can give a joke, then you got to be able to take a joke. And I think there's too many people that can only give a joke. Like, people can say something funny, but when they're part of what is funny, they don't like it. And that's what clicked for me this week, because I realized I do it to people all the time, and I know I don't mean anything by it. I know it was just in the moment. It was a joke, like Sexy Red, the first lady of the church. That it was just a joke, but somebody like, yo, don't be playing with Sexy. She's a, you know, this, and it definitely wasn't meant that way. Shout out to Sexy, you know.
That's a really good point. I want to kind of talk about it a little bit because obviously on the outside we can think it was funny, because honestly I thought it was funny too, but we can't dictate how Tyreek Hill receives it. And obviously after the fact he came out and said, should have left it up, this was funny. So if he thinks that's funny, but it's like certain things, the whole is just content. I don't even think like that because I'm just the type of person who acts on good. That's just how I was raised. That's just how I think. So that's how I'm going to perform about things. But you can't tell somebody how to react. So when you have a response, they're going to react how they want to, whether that's what your intention was for them to have backwards or not. And at the end of the day, we as people cannot choose that. We cannot choose a response. So if you're going to say something or put out a video, and like the Colts did, they took a risk, and the organization was probably like, we don't even want to back this because we don't even know what Tyreek Hill is going to say. Luckily, in the end, he said, honestly, this was jokes. It was funny because it was. That ended up right in their favor, but he could have been like, man, F this, F that. Y'all don't even win anyways. He could have took that approach, but he didn't, because it didn't, matter to him that much. But it depends on the situation, and it's kind of like a case-by-case type of situation. So
I think when you're in the public eye, you got to get public skin. Pause. You got to get public skin because you're in the public eye. So things are gonna be said. They're just gonna be said. And your job is not to become a part of the content. That's what your job is as a public figure, to not put yourself on the docket. As what's the lady name with the hammer from Miami?
Oh, the hammer.
Kaya. You don't know Kaya?
The only Kaya I know is Cooking with Kaya, and she's from Atlanta.
Oh my goodness, Stat! Shout out to Kaya. You gotta get your stuff together, Stat. Come on.
You also gotta remember we have different memories of things.
No, Stat. No. Kaya, don't cook her up, please. Kaya, don't cook her up. She don't know no better.
let me say this. Stat.
She had the record, her neck and her back. You know that song?
Oh, yeah.
It's the same one.
Yeah, that's a big dog. That's a big dog from Florida, Stat. You ain't really from Florida, Stat.
I am. I actually only claim Florida, so I've been very consistent.
Oh my goodness. Whoever put that video up of me, that was hilarious. I did not know that was my like eyes and nose on that video where it says, and this is May's favorite teams, and then it got me up this end, the Sacramento Kings.
Oh yeah, I seen that.
The
I-
Boston Celtics. People got too much time on their hands. Shout out to Bub, man. That was
it's just
great.
comedy, man.
Yeah. Maurice, did you have a point before I
Yeah,
move on?
no.
Yeah.
So when you were talking, you sound like my daughter, right? But it's making a point where when you say something to my daughter, this new generation, and it's not good or bad, it's just the way that you get trained in school and to be more aware of your emotions and be more aware of how you process things. And they think everything is personal. They think everything is an attack. And that's how this whole thing with Tyreek even becomes a thing, because like people just used to say things and it's like, hey, it's not that serious. But somewhere in society, we've been taught to like psychoanalyze every single thing that somebody says as if it's that deep. And when Mace is talking about, like when I say there's harsh jokes, there's funny stuff, like when you just come from a different generation, like it just wasn't that serious. But somewhere we decided to take everything serious, and that everything became offensive, and that everything that somebody said was either malicious or intentional, or it has some like historical context. Sometimes the stuff just ain't that deep. It's just a joke, and that's what it is. And so you talking actually helps me. Like sometimes it's just a generational disconnect of like how people joke, what they receive, what they take personal. And there probably needs to be more skill around stuff like that.
Yeah.
But most stuff just isn't, like people don't do stuff with that, like with ill intent. There's not like some deep rooted thought. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, in California they're more desensitized. And in New York, the humor is very dark. It's very dark. It's like you almost died, but it's funny. You know, it's like, oh, he almost died, you know. It's
Yeah.
so callous. So
And
I understand the difference of the world.
Yeah, and I didn't mean that in a bad way, but when I talk to my daughter, I'll say something. She'll be like, "Yo, Daddy, you're offending me. Daddy, you're my personal space." And I'd be like, "What are you saying?" And then she says, "Well, I have the right to like take a breather for something." And in my head, I'd be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I love my baby. She said that.
Yeah, it's like it's the difference between go out and get the switch versus I'll call the cops on you. I'm not going to get no switch. I'll call the cops on you. It's two different worlds. It's just two different worlds.
But
And I
and
love
that's
my
also
baby. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
I love my baby too.
no. Clearly, she loves you too, and even the fact that she can just have those conversations with you, even though you're like, what? For her even comfortable telling you that already, great dad to work, because like y'all can have those conversations, y'all can talk things out. That's
yeah.
to her, because some people can't even have those conversations.
Yes, that we didn't get to do that. We started doing that. She said, "You cry. I'm gonna give you something to cry about."
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's different. And so like even back to Mace, like I know you joke about like sometimes the disconnects, but it's like we grew up completely different. Because the point you made about sports completely different for me, because yeah, I know I joke about, you know, growing up in Florida, but I really did. I consider myself Southern homegrown, you know, Southern hospitality. I was just always taught to be kind to others. Not saying that you guys haven't, let me make that clear, but it's just kindness prevails. I don't sit in,
Kindness prevails. I don't
Yes.
think I ever heard that growing
That's
up.
just how I think. Like,
You know what we were taught? We were taught nice guys finish last.
See, I don't even know.
You see the difference, that? You saying
Yeah.
kindness prevail, and I'm hearing be nice here, and then I hear nice guys finish last.
See, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a disconnect, because I don't even think like that. Even like when you guys all share stories, I'm like, well, are you okay? You guys are like, yeah, that's fine. We just charge it to the game. And that's cool if you want to charge it to the game. But sometimes the thought process in between, I'm just thinking like, how can we make this positive in the end? Y'all might laugh at me, but that's literally how I think. I'm just a nice person. I want everybody to be kind. I would hope the world could be lollipops and rainbows, but I don't know that that's not the truth. And that's just the world that we live in. And that's that. Nothing you can do about.
That was crazy, Stat. That was crazy.
Lollipops and rainbows?
Lollipops and rainbows, Stat?
Yes, but that's
That
not
was
reality.
crazy.
And I know that.
Oh my goodness. Where's Nick at? Her reality is lollipops and rainbows.
No, it's not the reality, which
That
is the
was
reality I wish it was,
crazy.
but I know that that's not true. I just think if we could make the world a better place day by day, that's what I would hope for. But I know that that's not reality. So, hey, it's the world we live in.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I just grew up around too many ruthless people, Stat.
That's what I'm saying. I did it. I just had to figure things out on my own. I was my little nerdy self in my classrooms, and I just did what I did. Y'all
but
cannot do the same.
No, this is the beauty. Like, this is the beauty of the generations of the show, the dynamic of the show.
Yes.
This is the beauty of the spectrum of Black people. Just, it's beautiful. It's even beautiful that you was raised that way, you was brought up that way, you have perspective that way, and you have your innocence. And so.
And I want to maintain that, and I just want to make this clear, not even just for y'all, but for people watching. I think a lot of the times when they're like, dang, Stat, how did you not know this? Or how did you not watch this? I'm trying to give you guys insight into my mind and the way that the environment that I grew up in, that's how I approach things. Obviously, I've learned that is not the case. That is not the truth. Being up here with Mace, Maurice, Cam every day, trust me, the reality check has been hit. I know. And I'm just saying that's kind of the thought process. So that's why I view things the way that I do, or speak on things the way that I do, because that's just how I think.
No, but shout out to your mother and father who raised you right, who raised you in a responsible manner. You're you're a phenomenal product of both of them. But I say this in a respectful and like big up way.
Yeah.
I'll raise my daughter similar to how you raised, and so she probably has a similar an experience similar to yours, right?
Yeah.
But in saying that, we all have to exist in the same world together, and so we're just going to see things differently. And we're going to view people differently. And Mace probably grew up like me, where you can't trust none of these niggas.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't trust your second uncle. That kind of.
You go around niggas who don't love themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And trust me, I see it. But of course, my hope is that one day that trust will come back for somebody. But I know that the mentality is just, I'm locked in. That's just how I move. No new friends, that type of thing. Like, I'm locked in on me, and that's that. And I can see it. You know, I see it and I understand it. But on the flip side, I would hope that things eventually become a little bit better. That's all. That's all.
Now you're from London, Stat? A little bit better?
Ever since we had the Gilgis Alexander, like, that's been kind of in my head.
Oh,
and I'm like,
goodness. Yeah, and I'm telling you, I've been really thankful, because every time I'm flying and I come across people, it's amazing. These two kids were in the store arguing about me being one of the best sports journalists. They didn't even know me for music. So that's why I say, oh yeah, I gotta put the music out. This little boy said, Mommy, that's the sports guy. and I was
like,
yeah, but every time I'm going somewhere, man, I didn't know how much people love the show. Like, every time I'm going somewhere, one guy stopped me and just says some phenomenal things. So shout out to all of the fans and all of the people. And they love you out there, Stat. There's people be fighting for you.
I feel the love every single day, and I appreciate everybody who supports and just uplifts and supports the show and even pokes fun. Like, I can look, they be joking, I be joking too. Like, let's not get it twisted. So I love all of our fans. Thank y'all for tuning in every day, supporting everything that we do. It's a blessing. So yeah.
Yeah, man. They bring up Mo, they bring up OJ, they bring up Michael Irvin. And that last video of Michael Irvin, I can't wait. I can't wait to talk to Michael Irvin about that.
I'm mad trying to get me
Glitter all over his body. It's crazy.
Oh, you talking about that? Oh,
kissing Ant-Man?
Oh my goodness.
You got the video of him in Brazil. And then you got
the house. Yeah, he's standing there like he's waiting on his part on Uganda, you know.
Yeah, he's living his best life.
Mike living his best life. I gotta get, you know, in the mentality of Mike Irvin, enjoy my life. Mike is enjoying his life.
Hey, Mike,
how do you do that?
He was talking about the bucket list. Hey, going to one of them parties.
Yes, that trying to do the bucket list.
He got it. I don't know. He got it. Okay, y'all. Well, that is all the time that we have for today, Maurice. You know, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
And don't forget, at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm putting a QR code up in my link in the bio on Instagram, RSVP Mace. And if all of you send the information, I'm gonna send you the music. It's that simple.
Hey, make sure
it's 890 subscribers. We see it right now, so you can't lie. I'm not gonna be able to lie. We're gonna be able to go on my phone and say, "Oh, it's time." So make it the time. Let's go.
There you have it.
Accountable.
Oh, we are.
Nick gonna clip this.
I'm not gonna text you. I'm gonna call you.
Yeah. Listen. It's not all mixed, but I'm gonna still send it to you.
That's cool.
It's for the people. It's for us.
Okay, love that. Okay, thank y'all for watching, and as always, it is what it is.
The NFL offseason is supposed to be quiet. No games, no standings, nothing to argue about. But this week, one team's social media department managed to start a firestorm without a single snap being played. It's scheduled release season, and every year teams try to outdo each other with creative videos to reveal who they are playing and when. This year, teams leaned hard into internet culture. One squad did a Minecraft-style video. Another went with a Mario Kart theme. In fact, two different teams landed on almost the exact same Minecraft concept without realizing it. But that overlap wasn't even the story. The real story came from the Indianapolis Colts. And it wasn't really about creativity at all. It was about a joke that landed very, very wrong. Here's what happened. As part of their scheduled release content, the Colts social team slipped in a clip referencing a boat pulling over a dolphin. And the joke was clearly aimed at Tyreek Hill, the Miami Dolphins star receiver. Why a dolphin? Why a boat? Why pull it over? Because earlier in the season, Tyreek Hill had actually been detained by police, a moment that made headlines and sparked serious conversation about how athletes get treated during police stops. So when the Colts internal team decided to turn that real, tense moment into a punchline for a scheduled reveal, it did not sit well with a lot of people online. The backlash came fast. Fans and commentators immediately called out the tone-deaf nature of turning a police detainment into comedy content, especially involving a moment that so many people found genuinely uncomfortable to watch the first time around. The pressure built quickly enough that the Colts pulled the video entirely and issued an apology. In short, the organization admitted the clip overstepped, said it involved rights they didn't have permission to use, and directly apologized to Tyreek Hill for how the joke landed. Now here's where things get interesting, because this story didn't just stay in the world of NFL Twitter. It made its way onto one of the biggest sports and culture shows out there, where former NFL stars turned media personalities broke it down from every angle. And what came out of that conversation was way bigger than just one dolphin joke. One of the hosts, a former NFL running back known for his blunt, no-nonsense takes, jumped in first and said he honestly didn't have a problem with the clip when he first saw it. His reasoning was simple. He judges jokes based on intention, not just impact. In his eyes, it read like a group of...
The NFL offseason is normally the calmest stretch of the year, with no games on the schedule, no standings moving, and very little happening on the field for fans to debate. But this week, one team's social media department managed to ignite a huge controversy without a single play being run. It is schedule release season, and every year, NFL franchises try to outdo one another with increasingly outrageous and creative ways of announcing their upcoming opponents and dates. This year, teams fully embraced internet culture, with one organization building its reveal around Minecraft and another creating something that looked straight out of Mario Kart. Even more bizarre, two different teams independently landed on nearly the same Minecraft concept without apparently knowing what the other was planning. But that accidental similarity wasn't what ultimately dominated the conversation. Instead, the biggest controversy came from the Indianapolis Colts. And believe it or not, creativity wasn't really the issue at all. The problem was a joke that quickly went sideways. That's where everything changed. As part of the Colts' schedule release content, their social media team posted a clip featuring a boat pulling a dolphin. And once you understood the reference, the target of the joke was pretty clear: Miami Dolphins star wide receiver Tyreek Hill. So why a dolphin, and why show a boat pulling it over? The explanation traces back to an earlier incident involving Tyreek Hill being detained by police. That incident became national sports news and triggered serious conversations about police interactions with professional athletes and the way those encounters are handled. So when the Colts' social media team took that real and uncomfortable situation and turned it into a punchline for a schedule announcement, people online reacted almost instantly. For many viewers, the joke simply felt like it had crossed a boundary. Fans and commentators began criticizing the decision, saying that using a police detention as comedy content came across as extremely tone-deaf, particularly because the original situation had already made many people uncomfortable. The criticism escalated so rapidly that the Colts ultimately deleted the video and issued an apology. The organization admitted that the post had gone too far, said the clip contained material they did not have the proper rights to use, and apologized directly to Tyreek Hill for how the joke was received. But here's where the story becomes even more intriguing, because this was never going to stay limited to another NFL social media controversy. The situation eventually made its way onto one of the biggest sports and culture programs, where former NFL players who have become media personalities broke down the controversy from very different angles. And what emerged from that conversation was much bigger than one dolphin joke. One of the hosts, a former NFL running back known for speaking his mind without much hesitation, admitted that his initial reaction was surprisingly simple. He didn't have a problem with the video. His argument was pretty direct. In his view, jokes should be evaluated based on the intention behind them, rather than only through the way somebody might ultimately interpret them. From his perspective, the clip looked less like a deliberate attempt to humiliate or attack Tyreek Hill, and more like a group of young athletes just having some fun at their opponent's expense. Social media employees having fun by taking a shot at a rival before the season. He pointed out that comedy has always involved dark humor, uncomfortable topics, and material that deliberately pushes boundaries, and sometimes people lose sight of the fact that not every joke has to turn into a major moral argument. Then, he made the conversation even more relatable by explaining that social media itself had once been something he struggled to understand. For years, people around him had encouraged him to post more often, interact with audiences, and become more comfortable with the digital world, but he resisted because that simply wasn't how he had been raised. Eventually, however, his attitude began to change. He said he eventually realized that much of what happens online isn't automatically motivated by hatred or malicious intentions. Sometimes it is simply people trying to create content. They're not necessarily trying to destroy someone's reputation. Sometimes they're just attempting to entertain an audience, while viewers have become so used to getting offended on someone else's behalf that even a genuine attempt at humor can suddenly be treated like a personal attack. And when the conversation specifically returned to the Colts, he was completely unapologetic about his position. In his opinion, Indianapolis never should have taken the video down to begin with. He genuinely thought the clip was funny, and he used the controversy to ask a much broader question of everyone watching. Have we reached a point where everything has to be treated with complete seriousness? Or are people still allowed to laugh when a joke targets somebody they actually like? Because based on his own experiences, he believes plenty of people are perfectly happy laughing when somebody else becomes the punchline. But once the joke turns toward them, that same humor suddenly becomes unacceptable. Then the conversation shifted when another host presented a significant counterpoint. He agreed that from an outside viewpoint, the clip could certainly be considered funny, but he emphasized one detail that couldn't simply be brushed aside. People watching from the outside don't get to dictate how Tyreek Hill himself is supposed to feel about becoming the target of the joke. And in this situation, Tyreek Hill actually spoke publicly and said the Colts should have left the video up, because according to him, he found it funny too. So, in an unexpected twist, the very person the joke was aimed at wasn't offended by it. But the host still stressed that the outcome could easily have been completely different. If Tyreek had interpreted the joke personally and responded with real anger rather than laughing it off, Indianapolis could have been dealing with a much more serious situation. It was definitely a gamble, and this time that gamble happened to pay off because the person at the center of the joke chose to take it lightly. From there, the conversation grew into something much deeper than one schedule release post. Another host, a former wide receiver known for having a quieter and more values-oriented personality, brought his daughter into the discussion as an example of the larger point he was making. He explained that an entire generation has been raised with a different mindset, with younger people being taught to think more carefully about their emotions and about how words are spoken, understood, and received. And he argued that this generational divide is probably one of the biggest reasons a moment like the Tyreek Hill clip can suddenly become such a huge controversy. Older generations, he explained, were often raised with a much simpler approach, where you laughed something off and kept moving, instead of analyzing every joke for some hidden message. But somewhere along the way, that cultural attitude shifted, and people became much more likely to take things personally, viewing jokes as possible attacks instead of simply allowing them to exist as jokes. He also highlighted an interesting difference in regional comedy and explained how people from different parts of the country can develop completely different ideas about where the line should be drawn. He described West Coast humor as generally more relaxed and desensitized, while places such as New York have developed a much darker comedic style, where something genuinely dangerous can become a punchline simply because everyone survived the experience. That's a completely different cultural relationship with comedy and with the subjects people are willing to laugh about. And according to him, those differences in upbringing could explain why one person hears the exact same joke and starts laughing, while another person hears it and feels genuinely insulted. Naturally, the discussion became more personal once the hosts began telling stories about their own childhoods and explaining why they react to situations so differently. One host described growing up with an old-school, no-excuses mentality, where discipline often served as a form of affection instead of having long conversations about feelings. Another talked about growing up in a much softer environment, built around kindness and Southern hospitality, admitting that when situations become tense, his instinct is usually to look for the most positive outcome possible, something the other hosts immediately joked about because it sounded almost unbelievably optimistic compared with the worlds they grew up in. What came next was an unexpectedly honest exchange about how 4 completely different backgrounds could create 4 completely different interpretations of the exact same viral incident. By the time the conversation ended, the hosts appeared to agree on at least one important point. Even though they couldn't completely agree on where the boundaries should be, the Colts undeniably took a significant risk with that schedule release video. It could have become a much larger mess if Tyreek Hill had reacted with anger instead of humor. Instead, it became one of those bizarre internet moments that could remain memorable far longer than the original video probably would have if it had simply been another predictable Minecraft-inspired schedule announcement. The Colts apologized, the video was removed, but the conversation it sparked about intention versus impact, generational differences in comedy, and who actually gets to decide what qualifies as funny ended up being much more compelling than the original clip itself. And that brings us to the biggest question of the entire situation. Was the Colts joke simply harmless and funny internet content, as some people argued, or was it genuinely a poor decision that deserved the backlash regardless of how Tyreek Hill personally responded? Because when you really break it down, what someone intended and how their actions affect other people aren't always the same thing. And that uncomfortable space between someone's intention and everyone else's interpretation is exactly where so much of the outrage we see online begins.